Wales are set to face a strong South Africa side at the weekend. My name is Mark. Let's talk rugby. Wales v South Africa. It's at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. It's on Saturday, 19th August, and kickoff is 3:15 BST. We will have a quick look first at the two teams. So, starting with Wales, front row, you got Corey Domachowski, Elliot D, Kieran Asarati. Second row is Ben Carter and Will Rowlands. Back row, Dan Lydiate, Jack Morgan and Aaron Wainwright. The halfbacks, Kieran Hardy and Dan Bigger. Left wing is Rio Dyer. Centres, Johnny Williams and Mason Grady. Right wing is Alex Cuthbert and fullback is Liam Williams. On the bench then, we got Sam Parry, Nicky Smith, Henry Thomas, Teddy Williams, Tane Basham, Thomas Williams, Max Llewellyn and Kai Evans. We'll now have a look at the Springboks team. So, front row is Stephen Kitsoff, Malcolm Marks, Franz Malherbe, Jean Klein, Orji Sneeman, Sia Khaleesi, Peter Steph Dutoy, Jasper Wiese, Jaden Hendrickse, Manny Lebach, Chelton Colby, Damien Dialende, Jesse Creel, Kanan Moody and Willie LaRue. On the bench then we got Bongi Mbonambi, Vincent Koch, Oxenche, Vincent Koch, then Franco Mostert, Marco van Staden, Dwayne Vermeulen, Grant Williams and Damien Willemse. So yeah, a very strong team for them. You know, you could see this being a team that starts in the Rugby World Cup. You know, you would have, you know, maybe this probably not the starting second row there. You'd have Etzebeth in there at least. But other than that, you know, if Etzebeth, let's say, was unavailable, you could absolutely see that being a starting 15 in the Rugby World Cup. That's how strong I think a team that they picked there, and even the whole 23. Like, you know, that there's nobody you would say doesn't deserve to be in that 23 for them. These two teams, so the last time that they played was in 2023, so there's a 3 test tour of Wales to South Africa. The last game that they played was South Africa 30, Wales 14. That was the decider in that test series. The one before that was South Africa 12, Wales 13. So that was Wales's first ever win on South African soil, you know, against the Springbok. And then the first one was a close one as well, South Africa 32, Wales 29. So really only the last one was kind of one-sided when it was kind of all on the line as well. South Africa just delivered there. But it just shows you as well, you know, Wayne Pivac, he gets a lot of criticism, and, you know, part of it is, I think, fair. I think some of it is unfair. You know, he is the only Welsh coach to have led a Wales team to victory in South Africa against the Springboks. So, you know, nobody can take that away from him. You know, Warren Gatland has a fine CV with Wales, like, you know, easily Wales' best coach or head coach of all time. I don't think anybody would dispute that, but I think he still has to prove himself second time round. And, you know, I think there's also a reason why they say never go back for stuff like this, but, you know, maybe he's going to prove us wrong. But let's have a closer look at the two sides. So we're going to go back to the Welsh side, and I'm actually going to look at it from the Welsh Rugby Union site, because that gives a little bit more details. We're going to look at it a little bit, you know, here. So front row, you've got Corey Domachowski and Kieran Asarati, both from Cardiff Rugby, both making their second appearances. Both made their debut, I think, in the Cardiff game against England. So not last week. The the previous one, the one before that, the week before that, I think. Then you got Elliot D there from the Dragons, with 42 caps to his name. So he's really carrying that front row in terms of Test experience. I thought Domachowski and Asarati went pretty okay against England. Second row, then you got Ben Carter and Will Rowlands there. So, you got like Carter with 10 caps, Rowlands with 24. So a little bit more experience as a unit compared to that front row, kind of, at least, between them. But, still kind of feeling it's not really a second row, unless like they really play out of their skins in this one. There's not really a second row that you would have picked as being the starting second row for Wales. So we'll have to see where that goes, how that guys perform. Back row looks, I think, a lot stronger. You got Dan Lydiot in there, great server for Wales, 70 caps. I think, if you hadn't had injuries, he would have been, closing in probably on 100 caps some stage, during the World Cup maybe. But, he's back now. There you got Jack Morgan, who really, he's the captain for this one as well. Really showed, against England again, in that first of the two games, what he brings to the table. And then you got Aaron Wainwright with 38 caps from the Dragons there at number 8. So I think that probably of the forwards, that is certainly the strongest unit that they have there. Again, like most, tier 1 teams, there's lots of talent available for them in the back row. And it's, in Rugby World Cup years, it's all about trying to get the players who are going to perform at the Rugby World Cup when you have an injury and somebody has to come in. And, that's what you got to find. You got to find where's the balance for that back row, who are going to be your starters, who's going to be able to come in and, not let standards drop as well, or even change things up if things are going badly for you. Like we saw with, Ireland haven't picked their squad yet, but we saw Gavin Coombs being released by them, and he's someone that I thought would have absolutely gone to the Rugby World Cup. Like Wales have already picked their squad, but still, there's, because of what's happening, I think, with a lot of players with not many caps, there's a lot of jostling for positions, and this back row looks strong. If they perform against what is a very strong South Africa back row as well, then that's going to be a good marker for them to put down as a unit, not just as individuals. Onto the backs then, so we got fullback Liam Williams. So the only thing I worry about with Liam Williams is that it's hard for him, it seems, in tests to not pick up a knock in a run-up games. Like, it feels like to me every 3 or 4 tests he gets some kind of knock that may, take him off the pitch for that game, and maybe he misses the next one as well. And that's kind of what you'd worry a little bit about him. But otherwise, I think, if he's available, he's going to be starting 15, I think, for the Rugby World Cup. But I think he just offers a little bit more than Lee Halfpenny. Alex Cuthbert there on the right wing. He's got 57 caps to his name from Ospreys. Cuthbert, I think, is one of these players who, he's obviously not at the level as he was previously. You've got, the likes of Josh Adams and Rhys Sammet all putting their hands up for that wing berth as well. So, is this going to be kind of a last chance saloon for him to put a case forward? But, with some of the wings as well for Wales, it can sometimes be about not staying in your copybook and not making a mistake and just letting others make mistakes, and then you get picked ahead of them almost. Left wing then we got Rio Dyer, just 8 caps from the Dragons, but he had, probably certainly one of the better backs for Wales in the Six Nations. To me, probably the standout back in that competition. And I think he is going to be starter on left wing for them. You got centre combination there. Then you got Mason Grady and Johnny Williams with, 3 caps for Grady and 5 caps for Williams. So not just an inexperienced combination together, it's Cardiff and Scarlets, but also just inexperienced individually as well. So again, getting that combination to work, and you've got to think that George North is probably going to. He's certainly been I think the most impressive Welsh centre. So I think he's probably going to be starting in the centres at 13 in the World Cup. So then it's about who's going to be playing beside him. I think for me, I'd rather have North on the wing, but I can see why you would put him in the centres, especially when you've got some decent talent on the wing as well, finding out for positions there. Halfbacks, then you got Dan Bigger, who is, I think, you've got Williams there as well, who can playing at 10. So it's going to be about really whether Gatland is going to go with Bigger, 109 caps. You know what you're going to get with him, or do you want to have Owen Williams in there instead, and have maybe a bit fresh and have Bigger coming off the bench? I think those will be like the 2 10s that are going to be in matchday squads, at least for the most important games. Then you got Kieran Hardy at 9. I think for me, Tomas Williams has probably put his hand up to be the starting 9, so Hardy has a chance here to kind of put his case forward, I think, for that. Then onto replacements, you got Sam Parry, 6 caps, and so coming on at hooker for Elliot D. I think what's his name? Who got injured last week? Was it Elias got injured last week? But the injuries last week probably does open up spots for people to get in to matchday 23s. Then you got Nicky Smith and Henry Thomas there. So Smith with 43 caps from Ospreys, Henry Thomas from Montpellier, just 1 cap to his name again. So he's gonna, again, it's a tough day at the office against that Springboks front row, and if they don't wilt under the pressure, I think they really will enhance their reputation. And I think if these players like that have only, you've got 3 players of the 6 front rowers that only have 1 cap, and 1 that has 6 caps. Of those 4, anyone who shows that they can stand the heat against the Springboks starting front row and replacements, it really won't matter how many caps they have if they're able to do that, I think, going into the Rugby World Cup. Then you got Teddy Williams from Cardiff, who was set to make his debut from the bench. You got Tane Basham there as well from the Dragons, with 12 caps to his name. So he wasn't concussed in that clash with Owen Farrell last week, so he's available again. He'll want to come off the bench and really have an impact there as well. You got Tomas Williams there, as I said. I think he's probably going to be the starting 9. So if Kieran Hardy has kind of laid down a good platform, he's going to want to come on and kind of pick it up from there and show what he can do, either by bringing the game home or changing things up if Wales are behind. Then you got Max Llewellyn from Gloucester, again, just 1 cap to his name, and Kai Evans from Dragons, who is uncapped and set to make his debut. So a lot of inexperience in there. You got a few players with a decent amount of caps to their names as well to kind of stitch things together, but it's a big task for this team, and this is kind of where Wales do need to show. I don't think they need to win the game. I don't think anybody really is expecting them to win the game. Obviously, if they do, it's a huge bonus and a huge boost to them. But I think if they can put in a performance and stay close with the Springboks, and maybe, what I'm expecting from the game is maybe, there's going to be an early try from either team. Wales might get themselves into a bit of a lead, and then South Africa come over the top of them, go, stretch out a little bit, and then Wales come back at them and make it close at the end. That's kind of what I'm expecting from the game. We'll have to see what it actually delivers. Hopefully it's a better spectacle than either of the Wales versus England games, because those are absolutely atrocious to watch. But let's then take a close look at the Springboks team. So that front row absolutely could be a World Cup starting front row. Stephen Kitsoff, for me, the most impressive Springboks forward, and probably Springboks player as well in the Rugby Championship. He's in great form going into the World Cup. You got Malcolm Marx and Franz Malherbe, all with tons of experience there, and that is, an absolutely intimidating front row. I think then, talking about intimidation, you got John Klein and R.G. Snyman in the second row there as well, both Munster players, and both of them can really very good in the tight, good carrying the loose as well. And I think given that both of them are in there, maul defence and maul attack for the Springboks should go pretty well with both of them there. Then back row, you got Captain Siaklisi returning. It's great to see him back for the Springboks. We have so many, great players who are missing the World Cup because of injury. It's good to see him coming back from injury in time to represent the Springboks. Then you got Peter Steph du Toit, who, looked, a little off the pace in the Rugby Championship, but as he went on, he got game time in his legs, started to look better. So I think he's now up to the pace of Test Rugby, and he should go well. Jasper Wiese, he's a fantastic player. I'm not sure whether he's going to actually start in, the big games in Rugby World Cup, but that won't be because of anything that he's done wrong. It's just because there is, again, a lot of talent available to that Springboks back row. You got Jaden Hendrickson there then at 9. It was kind of at the last World Cup, it was Faf de Klerk was absolutely the number 9. I think there's still debate about who's going to be the 9 this time around. You got Grant Williams in there as well as a possibility. And they've actually picked 4 number 9s for the Rugby World Cup as well, which means, there's going to be plenty of competition for that 9 spot. And I think any of them could represent the Springboks and do well in that jersey. You got Manny Le Bloc there at 10, who I think should be the starting 10. Now that Andre Pollard is not going to the Rugby World Cup, at least not unless somebody gets injured. I think Le Bloc is your starting 10. They have tried Damian Willemse there before. I'm just not convinced by him at test level, at 10. Then you've got Cheslin Colby, who again, last World Cup nailed on in that left wing spot. I think the most impressive wing for South Africa has been Curtly Arendse this year. So, but you probably would have him and Colby starting. I think centres then, you got Damien de Allende and Jesse Creel. So, we got Nola Kanyuam there, so they could absolutely be a starting centre combination as well. You got Kanan Moody, who was very impressive against Argentina and, through the Rugby Championship as well, any chance he gets. He's one of these players that looks like he is born for the test arena, that it doesn't faze him. And, he can absolutely do a job there. He's not maybe as flash as a Colby in terms of just running through, the opposition team. He has the ability to do that. But as well, I think, he's shown that he can be that solid defensive player as well. You got Willie LaRue there in 15. I thought that himself and Damian Willemse would probably fight it out for that. They seem to look good with LaRue starting at 15 and Willemse coming off the bench, which is happening here. Onto the bench then, you got Bongi Mbonambi. Again, he could absolutely be a starter in the Rugby World Cup. Whether it's him on the bench or Marks on, one starting, one on the bench, you're still going to get something really, really good out of them. Then you got Oxenche and Vincent Koch there too. Either of those front rows could absolutely start for the Springboks, and they, that as the opposition, your front row has to be on their game, because these guys are going to test you in the scrum, they're going to test you in the tight and in the loose as well, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on breakdown time too. Like especially that starting front row, kits off of marks, especially getting you over that ball, and winning penalties for holding on and stuff. Wales are going to have to be very careful of that. Then we got Franco Mostert. I think he's shown when he's gotten a chance that he can deliver again. Same with Marco van Staden. Dwayne Vermeulen, I think he was very, very much like Peter Step-Toy. He was out for a while, coming back. Peter Step-Toy was obviously playing in Japan, but I think something similar, that neither of them were up to the pace of Test Rugby. And again, he improved through the Rugby Championship, but I think he's going to want to prove something off the bench as well. You got Grant Williams there. Welsh fans, you've probably seen him. Well, I'm going to say, I don't know, because like Welsh fans, they always tell you that they're rugby nuts, but then the attendance for their URC teams is already very bad. So I was going to say, you've probably seen him in the URC, but maybe some of you haven't. Maybe you only watch the test games and you don't watch URC at all. But this guy from URC has shown like that, he's lightning quick, not just in terms of just absolutely rapid pace. You're talking like, Louis Zamet kind of pace this guy has, I'm not joking about that, but also speed of thought. Tap penalties, you've got to be watching this guy, because otherwise, for anything from 30 meters out, the guy could have tapped it, gone through you and scored if you're not paying attention. So watch out for that. Then you got Damien Willemse there. Again, he could come on at 10, he could come on at 15. I think 23 is a good position for him to be in because of that, ability to cover those two key positions. So how do I think the game is going to go overall? Well, looking at the two teams, you would say, listen, it's got to be the Springboks. But I think it's going to go the way I said, that, we're going to have an early try from either team. I don't know who it's going to be. We could even have early tries from both teams within kind of the first 10 minutes or so. But then I think Wales will probably get themselves into a bit of a lead until South Africa come back over the top of them, start to stretch away, and then Wales close it up towards the end. That's how I genuinely think this game is going to go, but I do think that Springboks are going to pull out the win.